ज्ञानाञ्जन चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृद्यन्तस्तु अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरसतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतिदादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय परमानंदपाठाय प्रेमवर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद गुरुन् मन महाधन मन निष्ठारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधु तादा इन अति नीच ताकरा हा नामुंचा कदाचिन मां प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्फुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you all everyone for joining. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Happy Ekadashi to everyone. So every Sunday we do this service to Srimad Bhagavatam. And today, since it's Ekadashi, we get many times more benefit for serving Srimad Bhagavatam today. So, okay. So thank you so much. So we are in chapter number 23. And we are towards the end of the chapter of 23, Devahuti's lamentation. And basically, in this chapter, we have read about basically their marriage life, right? Though the chapter is titled Devahuti's lamentation, which we are going to read today, the last few verses, but the whole theme of the chapter is about their married life and how Devahuti has served her husband. And then after her wonderful service, the first three verses, then it was described that how she was desiring to now have the benediction of uniting with Kardamuni, and then how Kardamuni prepared that entire spatial airship, right? Spatial airship, which was so beautiful. We read the whole description, and then even after that beautiful airship was created, almost like unimaginable airship. Still, Devahuti was actually sad, and Kardamuni understood that. Oh, she's sad because her body is still like kind of she's tired, she's still emaciated from all the austerities, and her hair is matted, clothes are torn, and she's like, devotees thinking, how can I unite in this situation. And immediately Devotee, so Kardamuni instructed Devotee that go enter Bindu Sarovar and everything will be taken care of. And as soon as she entered, then she found 1,000 ladies at her service. And then they actually dressed her, decorated her, and again gave her some nice Ayurvedic drinks to actually rejuvenate her health. And then after Devotee was thinking, okay, now I'm all ready to unite with her husband. And as soon as she thought, I'm ready, she was transferred to the airplane. And she was amazed by the power of her husband. She said, all this, like creating that entire spatial, almost like a whole planet, like a whole city, in the space, creating that whole thing. After that, how Devotee being rejuvenated. And finally, like even just thinking that, oh, I want to go back to my husband. She's not even had to go. And Devotee, Kardamuni immediately like brought her onto that airplane. And then we read how they enjoyed for such a long time. Said like 1,000 autumns. That means 1,000, sorry, 100 autumns, right? So 100 years they were actually enjoying on that spaceship. And one day Kardamuni was giving Devotee a tour of the universe, right? Because he was going even to different mountains and then different like gardens, like Nandakanan gardens in the Swargaloka. He was taking her everywhere. And then after that, then he actually united with her. He expanded to 9 forms, and 9 forms of Kardamuni actually, impregnate Devotee, and then they had 9 daughters, right? So we came up to that point, and yeah. Okay, so we'll start with the last section, 49 to 57. And this is where we see Devahuti lamentation. So up to this point, actually, the real lamentation has not come. Why is Devahuti lamenting? And this is the section that we are going to read right now. So I think we discussed 49 and 50, right? And we'll just quickly review 49 and 50. So we can start by reading the English translations. Maybe someone can just start 49 and 50 translation. Anyone? Anyone like to start? Text 49 and 50 English translation. Everyone here, turn on your videos as possible. And
When she,
go ahead.
Hare Krishna, 3:23:49, when she saw her husband about to leave home, she smiled externally, but her at heart, she was agitated and distressed.
Hmm. Okay, so this is where the lamentation of Devotee is going to come. Okay, next verse, Mata. Yeah, go ahead.
She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with the luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down. She spoke in slow yet charming accents, suppressing her tears.
Hmm. So this is where we discuss the point that how it is described that devotees' toenails were shining like pearls. And then the point that Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that she was actually scratching the ground with her toes. And Prabhupada actually compares this with the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he says that how when Krishna played his flute and called all the gopis, and when all the gopis arrived, and Krishna said, okay, thank you for coming. And then he actually said, you have seen now the forest of Vrindavan, and now you should go back. And the duty of a wife to actually stay with her husband. So go back. And when Krishna was speaking in this way, then the gopis were looking down, and with the toenails, they were actually scratching the ground, right? And then Prabhupada says this is a sign that when a woman's mind is disturbed, then she actually does scratches the ground with her toes. So, and then okay, so let's start with text 51. So let's see the cause of Devahuti's lamentation.
Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Let's do the Sanskrit or something. Yeah.
51. Um, Devahutir Uvacha Sarvam Tad Bhagavan Mayam Upovaha Pratishrutam Atapi Me Prapannaya Abhayam Datu Arhasi.
Actually, we did this also, but yeah, go ahead.
Shri Devati said, My Lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me. Yet, because I am surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too. Hare Krishna.
Mm. So this point of fearlessness, it comes now, and again, one more shloka, we'll see the same point. That Devotee is asking that, and she's saying that, oh, Kardama, you fulfill all my desires. Like everything that Devotee wanted was actually fulfilled. The union and then getting children. And what was Kardamuni initially he had promised? That as soon as I have children, I will go to the forest, right? And why? What is she asking? She's saying, because I am prapanna. So this word prapanna, we see is actually a word for like sharanagati, prapanna. Prapanna means surrender. So because I'm surrendered unto you, please give me fearlessness, right? Abhayam. So what does this mean to give fearlessness, right? So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that it is a responsibility of a husband to give wife fearlessness. And what is that fearlessness? That fearlessness is freedom from the fearful situation of material existence. That this material world is filled with fear, right? We make the point that in this material world, four activities are very prominent: eating, sleeping, mating, defending, fearing, right? Of all these four, the one that is constantly 24/7 with the conditioned soul is this aspect of fear. Always fear is there, right? As soon as there is any form of attachment, whether that's with the thing or with the person, that is fear, right? That's fear. Like, I was just thinking about this point that, especially for parents, when the kids are young, there's always fear. Oh, he's gone here, she's gone here, what is she doing? What is he doing? And there's constant fear in the mind, right? So, how can someone grant fearlessness? I mean, if you say from the material perspective, one can be say that, okay, I'm going to be careful, take care of this, take care of this, have like the best health policy so that if something happens, I'll take her to the best doctor. Do all those things. But is that really still fearlessness? Mhm. All your best doctors, the best situation cannot protect the child. And Prahlad Maharaj makes this point, right? In the seventh canto, he actually, when he's praying to Lord Narsimadev, he actually says, actually, Lord Narsimadev, it's only when you want to protect someone, then protection is guaranteed. Otherwise, even the best doctor cannot protect the patient. The best parent cannot protect the child, and the best boat cannot save a person from drowning. Right? It's only when the Lord desires. So, yes, we do all the needful, we take all the precautions in this material world, but our hope is what? Our hope and shelter is the protection of the Lord. Right? And that's why, like, Prabhupada introduced these prayers to Lord Narsimadev. We always take shelter of Lord Narsimadev, so we are always protected. Right? So, here, when she's asking for fearlessness, she's actually asking for shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, next verse, 52. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport as a duty of a superior to give fearlessness to the subordinate. So as soon as we take that position of responsibility, that, for our children or anyone, we take, okay, I am responsible for you, then it is our duty to actually award them fearlessness. Fearlessness in material realm, but also fearlessness that they have always the protection of the Lord. When you're not there, and they are alone. And if that's some fearful situation, they will, okay, always turn to Lord Narasimhadev and say, oh Lord Narasimhadev, please protect me. That level of fearlessness.
Prabhuji, quick
Yes,
question.
good.
On page 269 of the hard copy, there is the last sentence, right? You must give me your last award so that I may get free from this material conditional life.
Yeah.
With that sentence, how, like we know that Sri Devahuti is going to ask for children, right?
I mean,
How
she,
does that
I-
justify getting free from material and conditional life?
yeah, yeah. So she already has 9 daughters, right? So that's already done. So now when she's asking for a child, basically she's asking for a son, you know. And that son, because we discussed this point that how the son has the qualities of the father, or the son one way expands the qualities of the parents. So she knew that Kardamuni is so exalted. So she knew that the son that was going to be born would also be so exalted. And when the son is so exalted, and even if Kardamuni leaves, it will be the son who will actually, give that spiritual wisdom to devotee. And now, in this case, who is devotee's son? Kapila, who's going to be an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So one way her desire is to have that association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who will give spiritual instructions by which her material condition life will be. She'll become free from material condition.
So in the current yuga, is that true? Like is having a son or even having children, meaning that you're free from material and conditional life? It's not true. So how do we justify this
Mm.
in the current yuga? Means in the prior yugas, yes, it
Yeah.
was the norm. But now, if we were to say, take examples from Bhagavatam and lead your life, this particular event does not hold true for the majority of the
Yeah.
population, right? So how do we justify that at all?
Mm. So, see, okay, so one is, yes, we are in the age of Kali Yuga, right? So, and this maybe we are saying that, okay, in the previous yugas, when the father is more qualified, then we're saying, okay, son will have qualities of father, will become Brahmana, will actually establish, Vedic principles, one way, all those things. But in this age, well, for grahasthas, like Krishna conscious grahasthas, then even before having a child, the importance, Prabhupada again and again talks of importance of Garbhodan Samskar, right? When we are doing the Samskar, we are praying to Krishna. That Krishna, and our prayer can be of two levels based on our level of Krishna consciousness. One is we pray to Krishna that please send a son, a good soul that actually, will become Krishna conscious, and, I can be an instrument so that that person becomes Krishna conscious. And imagine if a parent is actually training the child to be Krishna conscious, then certainly the parent will get so much spiritual credit. So even that point is there. And the other prayer is for advanced Vaishnavas, Grihasthas. They can pray that please send a child who can actually be an instrument to spread Krishna consciousness all around the world. Not only he's a devotee, but he can spread. So in both cases, the parent will get so much spiritual benefit that they are raising a special soul who is going to be Krishna consciousness or Krishna conscious or spread Krishna consciousness all around the world. Now that is talking of devotee children, devotee parents. But now in the other, those are not devotees, then they have children out of a duty, out of attachment that, okay, now we are married, our next step is to have children. Then the children may be a cause of their more entanglement in this material world, right? In India, it is very big thing. Like, I was hearing one lecture, that's why I'm thinking of this. Like one person was asking Radha Swami Maharaj that, we have children now, and because the child is there, our thinking is, I need to earn so much more. See, for my sake, it's okay. I have house, I have my, car. These basic things are there. I am happy. But the motivation comes that my child is there, and I want to make sure my child has a lot of wealth so that, it will actually, he will, when he grows up, he has a lot of wealth and he does not have problem. That attachment to the child is actually entangling us more and more and forcing us to work so much more so that we can accumulate so much for a child. So he was actually asking the question to Maharaj that, Maharaj, like, that attachment is actually causing us to force. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been working so hard. Right? And Maharaj made the point that, at the, let's, to a certain extent, yeah, we want to give something to our children, But finally, like once they are grown up, what is more important to give the child is the good character, the good culture. Give them Krishna consciousness. Because once that is done, then they'll grow up with that good character. Krishna will take care. They will earn for themselves. They will have sufficient. Krishna will provide. As soon as we think that we are the protector, we are the doer, that's when the problem starts. Right? So we do our best, but leave it to Krishna. Krishna will take care of them. So anyway, those are a few thoughts. Is that Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. And I was just thinking that probably then Bhagavatam is not for beginners. It is definitely for somebody who has already kind of some concept of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's difficult to
Yeah.
explain or understand in
So
those
different,
terms.
so different Bhagavatam also so many different stories. So for a beginner, we may say a different story. But this is when we're
Okay.
thinking of practical marriage, grihastha ashram, then
Okay.
for advanced, yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Isn't Devavati still does not know that Kapila Dev is going to take birth? I mean, didn't Kadama Muni mention to her?
Mm,
Because as per the contract, as you remember that after marriage you have children, and when you have a son, that's it. So I'm sure Devavati already knows about it. So as
So
of 9 months, it was very prompt, right? It was very quick. 1 day conception, 1 day delivery, everything done. So then she knows that, okay, these are 9 girls. Where is the boy? Which is the god?
yeah. So
Isn't
actually, did Devavati know that the son is going to be the incarnation of Supreme Personality of God? Actually, in the next chapter, we see how Brahma comes and he talks to Devavati and say, "Don't worry, Devavati, your son is going to be the Supreme Personality of God, incarnation." So it comes next chapter. So at this point, she knows that she'll get that son because one way that I mean she's going to ask now, but she knows that's going to happen. But if that son is going to be a supreme personality of God, that Brahma will come and inform both Kardamuni, yeah, and Devhuti. He'll actually inform them in the next chapter. Okay, okay, let's continue. 52.
Text 52. Brahman duhitribhistubhyam vinegriya pataya samaha kashchit syame vishokaya tvai pravrajite vanam. Vrindavan Vilasini Maharaj. I mean, sorry, Vijaya Radhika Maharaj.
Mataji, I just joined, so I
Sure.
have my book in front of me. Sorry.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. My dear Brahmana, as far as your daughters are concerned, they will find their own suitable husbands and go away to their respective homes. But who will give me solace after your departure as sannyasi? Hare Krishna.
So Brahmana, my dear Brahmana, she's telling her husband, Duhitribhi. So we have daughters, and those daughters, Patayaha, will find their suitable husbands. I mean, that will happen, right? But now what is she asking? Kashit, but that should be Vishokaya, right? Solace, Tvai Prabhajita. When you go to the forest, please, who will give me solace? Will give me that Vishokaya when you actually go to the forest, right? So basically, she's saying, be merciful, stay for a few more days, and give me a son, right? Because the daughters, they'll get married, they will go, but who will actually be there for my protection, right? So Prabhupada makes an interesting point in the purport. It's just said that sometimes the father himself becomes a son in another form. First sentence of the purport, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, that the son actually gets the qualities of the father. So that way, so the son is actually a representative of the father. So the Prabhupada makes the point that the widow, that if she has lost her husband, but if she has a son who is actually qualified, who is representing father, one way she is not considered a widow because the son is there as a representative of the father, right? So, okay, then Prabhupada makes a very interesting point here, right? He says this relief, this Vishokaya, right? Shoka we know, right? Shoka is lamentation. Vishoka, no Shoka, right? This Vishoka can be achieved. Vishoka does not mean just material comforts, and that is like the conception of people, everyone, right? 99.999% of the population, and the society tells us, you want to get free from problems, get more and more material things. Get a bigger house, get a bigger car, get this, get this, get this, get this, get a health insurance, life insurance, this insurance, that, and then that's it. Then you're free from, and then you are Vishokaya. But Prabhupada makes a very interesting point. He says Vishokaya means spiritual instruction. Relief means spiritual instruction. And how is that? So Prabhupada explains the point. Right? So he says relief does not mean material comforts because those material comforts end with the body. How much of a material comfort we have, the fear of old age, death cannot be stopped. Right? So how is that spiritual instruction freeing us from anxieties? Anyone can share this thought? How does spiritual instructions free us from anxiety?
Actually, it tells the real fact, Prabhuji. Like, in a sense, like, at least we will have awareness. Like, these problems are expected to come.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's a good point. Then we are not in the situation of utopia because our normally our conception is I want to create the perfect situation so that there's no problem. And that's the in the back of everyone's mind in this world. It's just like everything this I'll do, and then there'll be no problem. But we are open that the nature of this material world there are going to be problems. Like previously, what did I mention? What is the cause of fear in this material world? I just mentioned it earlier today morning.
Attachment.
Attachments, right? So how does spiritual instruction help us overcome all our problems? By actually giving light upon both objects and relationships in the right perspective. Like how we say, one way the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita is compared to a deep, right? Jnana Deepena, Krishna says in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's like a light, right? And with that light, what is happening? It is showing us what is our true relationships with objects and true relationship with people, right? And when we understand that, then our attachment is just based on the practical aspect. Okay, we have our children or spouse. That is attachment for sure. We are not saying okay, we have to be like sadhu, like in that way. In Grihastha ashram, okay, that is attachment, not over attachment that leads to all the problems. Right? Krishna makes a point in second chapter. What is it? One who is too attached. Right? He uses too attached. If you're attached, then basic attachment is an aspect of life. We don't deny that. But when the excessive attachment, the problem actually happens. Right? So all our anxieties, all our stress, anxiety, worry in this world is because of that excessive attachment. And spiritual knowledge gives us light. And then we talk of the principle of Yukta Vairagya, right? We understand that anything that comes in this world, it is going to die. I mean, you use it for some time, then it's going to decay, it's going to fall apart. We know that, right? So our attachment is not excessive because we know everything that comes is going to, after some time, we are going to lose it. And during the time when it is that, how can we use it in Krishna's service? How can we use it in Krishna? So immediately the whole conception changes. So hence Prabhupada says this relief means spiritual instruction, right? Instruction is in spiritual advancement is necessary. Okay. So right. And where do we get spiritual instruction from? We discussed this last time. The blessing and reciprocation of a guru comes in the form of spiritual instruction. So what is Guru one way giving us? He's giving us freedom from material anxiety and he's giving us fearlessness, right? So when we actually accept a spiritual master and accept the instructions of a spiritual master, we are getting freedom from anxiety and freedom from fear. So that's the point Prabhupada says. Does it make sense? How spiritual instruction is actually the way we can get relief in this world. Everyone? Yeah. Okay, the next point is Prabhupada says, Devotee served her husband so nicely, right? We read in the first three verses how she served her husband. And now, here Prabhupada is making the point that because she served the husband so nicely, it is a duty of the husband to reciprocate with her. So one way now, Prabhupada is saying the husband is now debted, has a debt to his wife for all the sincere service that she has given. So now, it is a duty of Kardamuni to repay that debt, right? repay that debt. So that's why Prabhupada is making the point that now it is Karwa Muni's duty to give her that son. Right? So Prabhupada makes this point that one cannot accept service without giving something in exchange. Right? And I was thinking about this point that what is spiritual relationships based on? Spiritual relationships, whether it's devotees, is actually based on the mood of service, right? Spiritual relationships are based on the mood of service. Like when we see any Vaishnava, our mood is, how can I serve that Vaishnava, right? Serve everyone. Serve our superiors, right? By actually doing practical service to them. Serve our equals by actually giving them the association, discussing Krishna Katha, helping them in their journey of their journey of bhakti. And those who are younger to us, we serve them by giving them spiritual wisdom. So our whole mood, spiritual relationships, whether it's with elder, with equals, and with lower, is in the mood of service. Right? But when a service is given, like let's say we offer some service, what is the mood of someone who is receiving the service? Like Prabhupada is here making the point that when you're receiving, like someone is doing something for you, when you're receiving the service, immediately we should think that, what service is doing is like a spiritual. He's actually helping me progress in my spiritual journey, And if someone is helping us progress in our spiritual journey, our mood should be that, oh, we should be so grateful, thinking that, this kind of service no one has ever offered before. They are giving me the service so that I can progress in my spiritual life. What can compare to this kind of service? And when we have that mood of gratitude, then what do we want to do? We want to repay back that service. And we are always thinking, oh, this person did so and so service. I want to do this service. And the whole relationship between Vaishnava is just based on, I want to serve you, and the other person, I want to serve you. And just this mood of service. And hence the relationship of Vaishnava actually becomes so sweet. And it actually is completely in contrast with material relationships, which are based on, as we say, what's in it for me, right? Material relationships are based on how can you satisfy me? What can you give me, right? But spiritual relationships are like Indra Swami Maharaj, he makes a point. Give more than you get. Give more than you get. What are service we receive? We want to give more. We want to give more. Right. So even the guru, when we are serving the guru accepts the service of a disciple. And how does he, one way, serve the disciple? By giving spiritual instructions. So the whole thing is based on service. And when we are receiving service, we should be in the mood. How can I serve more? That person is doing this. Let me serve more. Let me serve more. And that's how Vaishnava relationships are. Okay. Okay. And
Prabhu?
yeah. Go ahead. Yes.
Prabhu, so you said that since Devahuti is already asking for something, in return. So as you said, it is like the return she's asking for her service she has done. So is this also applicable to general like daily, say like how in daily devotees life, like since I am serving my husband, should I be expecting a return from him or no? Like I don't think Devahuti was actually asking before because she became so lame and so weak and
Yeah.
so.
So yes, I mean, what does exchange mean? Like, what does relationship mean? There's exchange from both sides, right? So when we do some service, the exchange is not so much of like, okay, I did this, now you buy me a new car. That's like the material thing. The exchange now is, okay, I served you like this. Please help me, give me more spiritual instruction. Or it could be also in the mood, like, depending on the relationship between husband and wife, it can be, okay, now, we have done this service, let's go and serve this Maharaj. Let's take a spiritual retreat. Let's do this. Where it is like one person is facilitating that. Okay, you did this. Let me actually do something so that can actually help you progress in spiritual. So yes, that kind of expectation can be there. But it is not like the material gross expectation that, oh, if you don't do this, then I'm not going to serve you. It's like the material is very like, you did this, I did that. If you don't do this, I won't, it's not in that mood. This mood of like, yes, that expectation of spiritual benefit. So even here, devotee is expecting, she did a service, but her expectation is more of fearlessness. That means spiritual progression. And we read that point, right? Give me freedom from material distress, material anxiety. Yeah. Okay, so next verse, 53. Oh, yeah. So, Prabhupada, the spiritual master cannot accept service from a disciple without awarding him spiritual instruction, right? So, that's the point that we are discussing, right? Even Guru, he's accepting service of disciple, but the Guru just gives spiritual instruction. And one instruction, and that itself could be you know, something that our entire life, we are like, life and mission is, okay, Guru has given, right? So, okay. Mata, you have a question?
Not question, but just so previously, Divyanita Leela Mataji asked, did Devahuti know she's going to have a son? And is that why she was asking? So I was just looking back to text 3:22:19, and there Kardam Muni only says that
Yeah.
on the condition that after she bears semen from my body, I shall accept life of devotional service. So probably I was thinking that now that she has got children, that he's going to just leave her,
Yeah.
and that is why she's trying to ask for a son so that he doesn't leave her before, like leaving her as a without any support. So
Yes.
that's what I was thinking. Probably that's the reason she's asking for a son,
Yes.
because now she's afraid that he's going to just leave in a day, because she's already given her children.
Yes. That's exactly the point. So already the daughters are there, but she's not expecting a son. Right? Okay. 53.
एतावतालङ्कारेण व्यतिक्रान्तेन मे प्रभो इन्द्रियार्था प्रसङ्गेन परित्यक्ता परात्मनः.
Hare Krishna translation. Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Mhm. So now this is from this verse onwards, we are seeing her actual point of lamentation. The chapter Devotee's lamentation we see right here, 53. She says, Eta Vata, so much alam for nothing. We did so much for nothing, in the sense that, yeah, we had this entire aerial spaceship, and she was appreciating her husband, did all that, and then they enjoyed, they traveled all over. But she said, alam, nothing. Kalena krantena. So much kala or time has actually passed. And she says, May Prabhu, oh my Lord. So she's saying, oh my husband, oh my dear husband, you did all that for me. And I appreciate it. But so much time has passed, and all that for nothing. Why? Indriya Artha. Because all that had been engaged in sense gratification. And then Parityakta para Atmanaha. Pariyakta para Atmana. Parityakta. So disregarding what? Para Atmana, knowledge of the Supreme. So we spent all this time and we did not take this opportunity to actually understand the Supreme Lord. So everything we have done is actually for nothing. Everything we have done is for nothing. So yeah, so Prabhupada in the purport talks about that. This should be our mood of lamentation, a human form of life. That once we have this human form of life, we should actually think in this way. That so much of our life has passed, not thinking about Krishna, not understanding Krishna, not remembering Krishna, and it's all in vain. Why? Because it's just based on sense gratification. Now let me dive into Krishna. So that, so Prabhupada is making the point that human form of life should not be wasted. And he talks of, if it is ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithunam cha, samanyat etat pashubhir narana. Right? If it is just like engage in ahara, nidra, maithuna, bhaya, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, then Pashubhi, it is just like an animal. What is the gain of human form of life, right? Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha dharmena hina pashubhisam. The human form of life is not used to understand what is the highest dharma, then Pashubhi samana is just like an animal. So having obtained this human form of life, one should actually have this mood that, oh, so many years have passed just in sense gratification, and I have just wasted just like an animal. Now my consciousness is awakened. So let me really take Krishna consciousness seriously. So that's what this Prabhupada's main theme of the purport. Right? Okay. Okay, so I was thinking that, so how did that inspiration in Devahuti come? So many hundred autumns passed. They were enjoying, in the special airship and everything, and enjoying with her husband. How at this moment did that inspiration come, where she actually saying that everything that happened is waste because it is for sense gratification? How did Devahuti get that inspiration? Because I was thinking, like, how is this practical for us that we may have spent so many years in sense gratification? Then how will that inspiration actually come to us that, oh, all this is waste. Now let me focus on the real thing.
Fear.
I'm just thinking, Jolt.
What do you say?
I said fear.
Fear of?
Fear of now kind of being alone, and fear of
Okay.
not having anything from such an exalted personality as her husband. And she didn't take anything from
Yes.
him. She just served him. She just got the children, and she didn't get the actual
Yes. Yes.
qualities from him.
Yes. Okay. Why don't you go on, bro?
I'm saying like setback, Prabhu. Like she got a sudden change in life. So sometimes like we think back like what had happened, what is going to happen. So that setback.
Yeah.
We look back.
So when we reflect back on our life and we see like, oh, so much has happened, but for what, right?
Prabhuji, I was thinking
Yeah.
practically, as you said, in our lives, I think this comes from association. When we hear the great personality, then we realize that this was just a wastage of time, whatever.
Yes, so that's also a very nice point. So all points are very nice. So one is a point of reflection. When you reflect back on my life, this is like a personal incident I had when I was just growing up, maybe in high school or something. And one of my relatives, elderly relatives, he just like something happened in their life. And then he just like, in that moment of that, hardship, and I was there, I heard it and it just like kind of struck me like, oh. And he said like, you know, and that during the hardship, he said, actually, if I think back on my life, my whole life has been filled with misery. It was just suffering after suffering. And he was actually thinking, I mean, he had a normal life, I mean, only that part was a hardship that he was going through. But just thinking back, and he was seeing all the problems, and it just like kind of struck me. It was just like, yeah, he was graduated from IIT. He has a good job in such a good company, so many years, such a high position, and he's saying everything for just misery, you know. So it just like kind of like hit me, It's like, come on, everything that we aspire for, as a child growing up. Okay, admission into IIT, I need to get that, get this degree, get this job. And that person who has all these is saying that whole life is misery. So it kind of struck. So one thing is, yes, association of devotees, when we are in association, they wake us up. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. You've been sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya. Wake up now, right? So that is association of devotees there. If you just reflect back on our life, we may get this realization. Fear, Mataji said that, when we actually say that, oh, now I'm growing old, now who is going to help me? The only shelter is Krishna. Let me actually take the bhakti. That's one point. And then for Devotee's case, I was thinking, see, devotee offered so much service to a devotee, right, for so many years. And even though after that they were actually in this mode of sense gratification, all the service she has done to a devotee will never go in vain. So one way Krishna is seeing all that service And even if someone actually, by some unfortunate circumstance, leaves Krishna consciousness and engages in sense gratification, all the service is done. At some point, Krishna in the heart will inspire him and say, like, see what you have done. Come back, come back. Right? In Nectar of Instruction, in the third verse, purport, Prabhupada actually makes a point. He says, devotional service, bhakti, is so pure and so perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. Satan, I always like the sentence. Once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. That means what? You did something, then even if you have left, Krishna will actually inspire you, bring you back, bring you that lamentation, and you'll think that, oh, everything I did has been waste. Why did I waste? Let me come back now. Let me come back. That inspiration Krishna will give, right? One is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. So, okay. Okay, 54. Let's continue. Nice points, everyone, about yeah.
Indriyarteshu jantai sajantya prasangastvai me kritaha ajanantya param bhavam tathapyastu svabhayaya me.
Translation. Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear.
So, Indriya Artheshu, right? We know this word. Indriya Artheshu means sense gratification. Sajantya, being attached to sense gratification. Then she said, Prasangatvai, in spite of my affinity for you, right? I was engaged, I was attached to sense gratification. Hence, in spite of my affinity for you, Ajanantya Parambhava, I did not know your Ajanantya, right? Janantya. So I did not know your Param Bhavam. Your Param Bhavam, I did not know your transcendental situation. Right? Tatha api, nonetheless, astu, let the affinity I have for you grant me abhaya. So again, we are seeing that word abhaya. We just saw that few verses back where she's saying, please grant me abhaya. And now again, she's saying, grant me abhaya. So funny. Sorry. It's so funny that Madhav is looking at the screen and I'm speaking and he's nodding his head. You understand, Madhav? Yes? Yes? Okay. So she's making the point that I was attached to sense gratification, but in spite of my affinity for you, I did not know your transcendental glories. And hence, but still, because of my affinity, you please grant me fearlessness. Okay. Now, one point here, the Prabhupada is focusing on the purpose. See, we say, what is the key for our progress in bhakti? What is that key?
Sangha.
Sadhu
The
Sangha.
association of
Association
devotees.
of devotees, right? Association of devotees. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, the beautiful verses that we need a reference. 2283, Madhya, 2283. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Bhakti Janma, the birth of Krishna Bhakti, or one takes up Krishna Bhakti when? Hoya Sadhu Sangha, in association of devotees. Only by the association of devotees can we actually get bhakti. But then Krishna Prema Janme Teno Puna Anga. But also in the path of bhakti, to actually get Krishna Prem, what do you need? Teno Puna Anga. Punaha Mukhya Anga. Still, the main aspect is Sadhu Sangha. So we need the association of devotees to actually get rise to bhakti, and we need the association of devotees during our path of bhakti to get prema. Still, the mukhya anga, the main mukhya is the main anga aspect of bhakti is sadhu sangha. For starting and all through our journey to prema, it is sadhu sangha. Right? So 2283 is a beautiful verse. Now, in spite of having sadhu sangha, association of devotee, under what circumstances do we not make the best use of that association? Like here, thinking of Devahuti, what are the points that we can say? She had association of Kardama, but still she's lamenting she did not have the real association. So what are the points that we can practically think that we can have an association of devotee, but still not make the best use of the association?
Other responsibilities and attachments.
Okay, other attachments like, okay. So we are in the association of devotee, but our mind is somewhere else, right? Okay.
Not in the Supreme Lord.
Was that Vijay Radhika Mataji? Not?
Always not forgetting the Supreme Lord. She says that we have forgotten Paramatma.
Okay. So did you understand my question? My question is, even when we are in the association of devotees, what are the points that we need to keep in mind to make the best use of that association? We may have association of devotees, like how Prabhupada actually made the point. That, that he said all the disciples were sitting there. Okay, you are sitting here, right? You are hearing my katha. And even a mosquito may be sitting here on the Vyasasana. And he's closer to me than all of you. But is mosquito getting that association? I mean, that is some benefit, but maybe not, right? So how can we actually get the association? What are the factors? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually make 2 points here. And he says 2 reasons why devotee, in spite of having the physical association, the affinity to a devotee like Kardama, she did not get the best until now, and she's going to get it, but until now she did not get. One is she was attached to sense pleasure. Right? So even like, okay, we may come to some katha, we may get the nice association, but if our attachment is very strong that, okay, I just want that sense pleasure, then we may not maybe able to get the best use of the association, because even though katha is coming, then our mind is somewhere else. Right? Benefit is there for sure. Anyway, sadhu sangha, you associate with sadhu, you just come close to sadhu, there is benefit. But we are talking of how we can get the best, right? So one is the attachment to sense pleasure, and second is not knowing the glories of that devotee, or not knowing the glories of Vaishnavas. These 2 points Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually said. So if you really want to get the best association, then what is the 10th offense to a chanting of the holy name? Who knows?
Being inattentive.
That is 11th, right?
Oh,
10th?
Maintain material attachments. Even after
Maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions from the present. Right? So if we are holding on to things, even though we are getting nice sadhu sangha, then we are not making the best use of our association. Because so rare to get association. But if we just keep hold on, no, this, then. And the second reason, not knowing the glory of the Vaishnava. Right? We are going to the katha, but we are like, okay, he's a Vaishnava, but may not be so good. We have doubts. And as soon as the doubts are there, we are blocking that association. We are blocking that mercy to flow. Right? So when we are getting the association, we should actually, that's why we read again and again in Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita particularly, the importance of Vaishnavas, the glories of Vaishnavas. And when we are reading, then we'll have more appreciation. Oh, Vaishnava association is so rare, right? So these 2 points. Everyone okay? Understand the point? Right? So 2 things. One is to maintain material attachments in spite of getting to a good association. Second is not knowing the glories of the Vaishnava. These 2, in spite of the association, we may not be able to make the best use of the association. And that's what Devotee is lamenting, that I did not know. I did not know your glories, right? And also I was attached to sense gratification. Okay. So next, let's go to 55. So nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you, please give me abhaya, fearlessness.
Text 55. Sanghoya samsriter hetur asatsu vihito dhiya sa eva sadhushu krito nisangatvaya kalpate. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, but the same type of association performed with the saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge.
So this without knowledge. So anyway, so the last sentence of the purport I just want to read, previous purport. Now she understood this and she wanted to utilize the advantage of the association of her great husband. She understood what? Like her her sense gratification, how she was attached. She realized that, and second, she again was reminded of the glories of her husband. So now she's saying 55. Sangoya samsmriter hetu asatsu vihito dhiya. So if you see that word dhiya, adhiya, that is through ignorance. Now this word adhiya is applicable to the first two lines and to the second two lines. Right? So what does this mean? Sangha asatsu. Right? Sangha asatsu. Association with those who are asat. Right? We say sat and asat. What does Bhagavatam say? Who is sat? The devotees of the Lord. Asat, the non-devotees. So association with those who are asat, hetu is the cause of what? Sansmriti, the cycle of birth and death. So even if someone is associating with non-devotees without knowledge of the result of the association, he is entangled in cycle of birth and death. The same point, saha, the same kind of association, the same association, the aspect of association, with sadhushu, with saintly person, even done with ignorance, ni sangatvaya kalpate, leads to liberation. Right? So it is that same association, either done in ignorance with non-devotees, leads to cycle of birth and death. That same association done with devotee leads to liberation. Okay. Right. So Prabhupada makes a point. Association of saintly person in any way bears the same result. For example, okay. So Prabhupada is actually giving the example. He's saying that how Krishna, association with Krishna in any way leads to liberation. What is the example of this? Positive or negative association with Krishna has one way the same benefit. What's the example of this?
We recently read in Krishna book that how Supnaka born as Kubja, her intentions were not pure in the beginning, but with association of Krishna, she was purified.
So her approach of Krishna was what? With that mood of lust. But because she associated Krishna, she got purified. Who else? Who was associating with Krishna out of enmity?
Shishupal and
Shupal.
Kamsa.
Shupal, Kamsa, they all associated Krishna out of enmity. So anyway, so Prabhupada this is actually from 7th canto, 1st chapter, where it says, any way one associates Krishna, either out of enmity, out of fear, out of lust, out of anger, however one associates with Krishna, he will get the benefit. So Prabhupada is using that same point with devotees. That even with devotees, somehow or other you associate with devotees, you will get the benefit. So if you see 7th canto, 1st chapter, let's see, text number is text number 26. So 7.1.26 is the reference where he says Vaira. Vaira means enmity, right? Enmity with Krishna. Example is given Kamsa and Shishupal. Nirvairya, without enmity or with bhakti, then it is given the parents of Krishna. Bhayena, lust with fear, and the gopis are given as example. Bhayena, lust without fear, the married lover like Rukmini. Kama, lust generated by prema. And then further in 30, he actually makes a point. By lust, hatred, fear, affection, devotion. Somehow or other, when man comes in contact with Krishna, then he will attain perfection. He'll attain liberation.
Prabhu, what is the reference? 7?
7.1.26 and 7.1.30. I was thinking about this point, and maybe someone can comment on this. That Prabhupada is actually saying that association with devotee in any way will lead to liberation, right? Now, if someone is associating with devotee with enmity, and Prabhupada is saying that, the association, he immediately takes it to Krishna and say, associate with Krishna, if there's enmity, then there will be liberation. Now, is that true with the devotee also? That's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport.
Prabhuji, if someone criticizes a great devotee, that's a great offense. the person is ruined. Huh? That's like what we call it as the mad elephant offense, right?
So how is Prabhupada using this example?
Rosie, I'm thinking like even we may associate with enmity, but slowly observing that person, the change will come within us. That's what I'm thinking.
And this is a very nice point. With one particular example in the history of ISKCON during Prabhupada's time. Everyone knows of Mr. Nair. So when our ISKCON Jihu temple was being constructed, I mean, this was actually when we got the land. The land was in the name of Mr. Nair. And this Mr. Nair, we read like, in Prabhupada Lilamrit, how he was just thinking that these devotees, they don't know anything. And he was actually a cheater. He had already previously sold the land to someone else and then last minute taken the money and canceled the deal. And somehow he was like, that was his mentality. He was a cheater, basically. And then with devotees also, he gave them so much problem, one after another. Mhm. And so, like, what is the situation of Mr. Nair? He troubled so much, like Prabhupada was like, so much in anxiety because of Nair. So, one way we can say, yes, he was cheating the devotees. He was, like, even like using heavy words and all those things. Like, so much he gave trouble to devotee. But what was his final result? One way we can see that a devotee is so merciful that even though someone may actually, do bad to a devotee, what is a devotee's vision for that person? He will always pray for the good of the person. And say, even though he's doing all the problems, Krishna somehow, give your mercy to him. That is the quality of a Vaishnava. That is the glory of a Vaishnava. Yes, Krishna will not tolerate. See, Krishna will not tolerate an offense to a Vaishnava. But the Vaishnava himself, just like Krishna, he is actually like, okay, whatever you have done, that's fine. I just want you to take up Krishna consciousness. That is the glory of a Vaishnava. And hence, Prabhupada's example and that comparison with Krishna actually makes so much sense. Just like anyone comes in contact with Krishna, he gets benefit. Similarly, anyone comes in contact with devotee, even out of enmity, the devotee is always a well-wisher for him and will give. Krishna will not tolerate, but the devotee is always thinking of the well-wisher. Right? Yeah, Nitai giving Jagai Madhai his mercy. Right? So, okay. So this is a really nice point about the glory of a Vaishnava. Right? So Prabhupada, in the last sentence of the purport, he says that till now she associated with Kardamuni only for sense gratification, but because he was spiritually great, she was sure to be liberated by his benediction. Right? 56.
I was also thinking about Prahlad praying for his father.
Yeah, that's also a good example, right? Because, yeah, Hiranyakashipu always, he was like torturing Prahlad, right? And then Narsimhadev could not tolerate. And he came, he broke the pillar and came. But what was Prahlad? What did he pray to Lord Narsimhadev? And Lord Narsimhadev said, like, okay, ask a benediction. Listen, I'm not a merchant, If I'm already from a demon family and you are asking me for a benediction, don't ask me such things because then, maybe my demon tendencies will come. That's he's saying out of humility. But then Narsimhadev actually insists, no, you ask something. Okay, if you at all want to give me a benediction, please liberate my father. Right? That is the power of a Vaishnava. Right? So that way a Vaishnava is even more merciful than Krishna. Krishna will not tolerate, but the Vaishnava is actually always thinking of the good and he will give mercy. 56.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. Prabhu, this should be applicable in the sense like, sometimes we find, say like on book distribution, may not be in US, but in India, sometimes book distribution, experiences are very sharp. Like, many things happen. So, say like a person who is very angry or upset, or the devotees. So I know the devotee, but these devotees whom we are talking, Prabhu, they're like, they're Uttam Adhikaris, they're Mahabhagavats,
Mhm.
It is not possible for a neophyte to, at this point, to be able to think in that frame of thoughts. And also, if we consider that, then becomes we can also become suppressed. Sometimes devotees, you keep on torturing me, like how sometimes it becomes in the family. Your family is completely against you.
Mm.
Keep on pesting, you keep on tolerating things. But at some point you have to stop, because you are getting pressurized means you're saying that Krishna is not important. You're accepting abuse means
Mm.
you're trying to,
Yeah, so
right?
that point, yes. So, for neophyte devotees, like, yes, now we are talking about Vaishnava in the sense of a true Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is a touchstone. We may not have that realization that if someone does bad and we are still well wishing for him, we may not be at that stage. So when one is elevated at that stage, then he's, like associated with Prabhupada, and we are talking about that. So, but for neophytes, anyway, like we can think in this way that okay, maybe we are not in that mood of tolerance, but at least a point that we have to do the needful so that our Krishna consciousness is continuing. And also like how Vaishnavi Prabhu makes a point, always like this, that somehow or other leave everyone with a good impression. And that may also mean that, okay, I'm not going to interact with you in that way, because it always, whenever we interact, we have this conflict. Then maintain a distance, but leave everyone with a good impression. So even when we go out on book distribution, somehow or other, even if we don't take a book, just, a good gesture of like, oh, thank you, have a nice day. Like leave everyone, because we are representing Prabhupada. So, that point we can think of. But yes, yeah, Vaishnava of that caliber, then that association will be, yes. Okay, 56, two more verses we have in this chapter.
Nehayat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate na tirtha pada sevayai jivanapi mrito visaha.
Hare Krishna 323:56. Anyone whose work is not meant to alleviate him to religious life, anyone whose ritualistic performance do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing.
So
Hare Krishna.
four things are there in this verse, right? Karma, dharma, vairagya, and bhakti. Right? Karma, dharma, vairagya, and bhakti. Four things. And then each one of them is actually, if your karma is not leading to dharma, then your work is actually useless. Shrama eva hi kevalam, which is this verse. If your work, particularly like varnashram duties, is not leading to dharma, it is a waste of time. Which is this verse? First canto, second chapter.
Atha Pumsam Vijayashrestha, right?
Dharmasvanadishtas pumsam vikshvaksena katha.
Yes. Dharma swanista pumsam vishvaksena kathas. Na
Na
utpadayati radip shrama eva hi. So if our karma, varnashram duties are not leading to, like Bhagavatam is taking us all the way to actually bhakti to Krishna, then it's useless, right? But here it is dividing. So if our karma is not leading to our dharma, then it is useless. If our dharma is not leading to vairagya, it is useless. And if our vairagya is not leading to bhakti, it is useless. Right? So that's what devotee is saying. Right? So finally, the whole point is Tirtha Pada Sevaya. The verse is saying very nicely that finally everything should bring us to Tirtha Pada Seva, devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord. Right? And if it is not doing, Jivan Api Mritahi. We are living, but we are almost like a dead person. So this is our standard of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is saying unless it brings us finally to bhakti, it is all useless. So devotee, she's lamenting in this way. She's saying that, we did all these activities, but if it does not finally bring us to Tirtha Pada Seva, then what is the use of living such a life? Okay, 57.
Saham bhagavato nunam vanchita maya dridham Yatvam vimuktiram prapyas namumuksheya bandhanat.
My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable, illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. Hare Krishna.
So last verse. So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that this final verse, she's speaking with tears in her eyes and with a voice choked up. And she's actually saying the previous verse said, what? Such a person is almost like a dead man, even though he's living. And she's saying, I am like that dead person. I had the association of devotee. I did not make use of the association. I am like that dead person, right? So I did not desire liberation, even though I had your association. So she's lamenting in that way. And so here we see, Aham Nunan Vanchite Mayaya. I have been solidly cheated by insurmountable Maya. Right? Somehow I like this verse. Like my first reading, when I came across this verse, I was like, wow, this is a nice verse. We can always say, I have been solidly cheated by Maya. Prabhupada said this in one of the classes. He said, those who do not come in contact with bhakti, with Krishna consciousness, they are unfortunate. Right? They are unfortunate. Right? How we say, Brahmana Brahmite Konyo Bhagyavan Jiva. Only those who are fortunate, they come in contact with. So those who do not come in contact with Krishna consciousness, with bhakti, they are unfortunate. Right? Then he actually says, then those who come in contact with devotees, certainly they are fortunate. Right? Then he made a third point. But those who come in contact with devotees, but still do not actually make use of that association, they are most unfortunate. So first he said, those who do not come in contact with Krishna consciousness, they are unfortunate. Those who come in contact, they are fortunate. But those who come in contact, but still they do not actually take best use of the association, they are most unfortunate. So what is our situation? We are unfortunate, fortunate, or most unfortunate. We can think in that way, right? We can think in that way. And I like this verse because it also makes us humble. And think about this verse for humility, that even though having the best kind of association, I am still maintaining material attachments. That means what? I'm being solidly cheated by Maya. I like that phrase. Solidly cheated by Maya, right? So Prabhupada also makes a point in for purport that what is the first blessing that we got? We got this human form of life. That itself is a blessing. Second blessing, we got in a birth in a family which was at least a good culture. So second, that's what. Take birth in a suitable family, where there's some cultivation of values and so on. And third blessing is what? Association of saintly people. So we have the first blessing, maybe we have the second, and third, we have association of devotees. Now, having all these three blessings, if we are not actually making use, then our situation is, even though we are living, we are just like a dead person. And further, Prabhupada makes the point that how actually the illusory material energy is cheating everyone. Right? How is she cheating? Actually, Maya is an aspect of what? Durga Devi. Right? How is she cheating? Like now it's all Durga Puja was just, everyone was like so involved with Durga Puja, right? Everywhere you go, it's all like Durga Puja, every temple. And Prabhupada makes a point. He says, right, people do not know what they are doing when they worship the material energy in form of Durga and asking material boons. Right? Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, Dehi Dehi, right? And that's what they're doing. Prabhupada is actually saying that. Mother, give me riches, give me good wife, give me fame, give me victory. Prabhupada is saying that's the mood of worship. But what is Durga Devi doing? She's solidly cheating everyone. She said, okay, come to me, ask material benedictions, and then even if she gives, actually, she will give you the material benediction, and you'll say, oh, Durga Devi, you're so pleased with me. You have given material benediction. But actually, we don't understand we are getting cheated by her. Why? Why are we getting cheated? Because those material benedictions is going to just lead to more and more entanglement and more suffering. So is that really a benediction? It's not a benediction. Right? And why is Durga Devi, Maya Devi cheating everyone? Because we want to be cheated. We want to be cheated. So she's like, okay, you want to be cheated? Here, come to me, ask this, I will give you that object to get cheated. So, so Prabhupada says, material achievement is actually no achievement because as soon as the gift is obtained, one becomes more and more entangled. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know how to utilize material assets for the purpose of spiritual realization. Okay.
Prabhuji, I was thinking that we can pray to Durga Ji that please remove the illusion and make me a pure devotee at the lotus feet of the Lord. We can pray to Durga Ji like this, right?
Very nice, yes. And that's our mood. That's our mood with actually any demigods. We come and we actually pray in that way. Right? So even Ganesh Ji, we pray, please take away our obstacles so that we can be focused on our bhakti. So that kind of, we can have that mood, right? Any other points here?
Prabhu, this is my own made up thing, but since you know how Bengal is, I have been saying this for like all the time I've become a devotee. Whenever they say in the Pushpanjali time, Rupam Dehi, Jayam Dehi, Yasho Dehi. So I always think Rupa Goswami Seva Dehi, Jayam Dehi is Jayapataka's Charan Dehi, and Yasho Dehi is Yashoda Maiya's the association Dehi.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I mean, that's devotees are so expert, even though those prayers are there and they are asking material, a devotee within that material is seeing that spiritual connection. Very interesting. Very nice. Okay, any other points on today's? This is we have completed a chapter. There's one more point that I wrote in my notes and I was just looking at the connection. So okay. So one point, Prabhupada, in the end of the purport, he says, there are many forms of service to the Supreme Lord, and anyone can render service unto him according to the best of his ability. Right? That's a nice point that we can think about. And what is a good example for this? Anyone can render service according to the best of his ability. And someone may like, I'll write for Krishna. I will sing for Krishna. I will cook for Krishna. So different. So whatever you do, whatever is your inclination, whatever you can do, you do it to the best of your ability. We've been discussing about Ramayana last 2 days.
I was just going to say you mentioned about the squirrel story in our direction.
Squirrel and Hanumanji, when they're building the bridge, Squirrel actually just comes with pebble, with a small pebble, and he's still doing the best of his service, and Lord Ramchandra explained. So whatever we can do, we try to do our best in that. So that's one story. And then the other point, I said, I'm not finding the connection actually in this verse. Anyway, that's okay. And I'll find another opportunity to bring up this point. Anyway, so we'll stop here on this chapter. So any final comments on this devotee? So we saw the whole chapter and finally it was devotee lamentation. So one point about lamentation. This lamentation is actually very healthy for our Krishna consciousness. Having that mood that, oh, so much of my life I've actually spent associating with Maya. And I have missed out the opportunity. Even when having the association of devotees, I'm still holding on to so much material attachment. Krishna, please help me. That lamentation actually brings out that spirit, the intensity of our prayer. That Krishna, only you can help me. Please help me. Please help me. So it's good to always have that spirit that, oh, I'm getting cheated by Maya again and again and again. And my only hope is Krishna. Only hope is Krishna. Krishna, please help me. It's nice to have That these last few verses, that's a mood of lamentation. Okay. Any final comments? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next chapter, which is 24, renunciation of Kardamani.
Prabhuji, I really like the point that you said that Krishna was inspiring Devati from within, because of some service he has done to a great saintly person. That's why Krishna was helping her. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yeah, even practically in our life, we will see. As soon any service we have done, always Krishna is keeping track of it. And at the right time, he'll give us the inspiration. Okay, here, connect to this devotee, do the seva. Any other points?
Prabhuji, like the 3 points you mentioned, those did not come in contact with the devotees, unfortunate. What is the second one, Prabhu? Those
Those who come in contact are fortunate.
fortunate and did not take the advantage, they are the most unfortunate.
Those who come in Krishna consciousness and still maintain material attachment, they are the most unfortunate.
Thank you.
And we can think of it for ourselves that, oh, I'm in Krishna consciousness, but am I really giving my 100% in bhakti? Then we can consider, oh, I'm most unfortunate. And when we consider we are most unfortunate, and if we really have that mood, then what happens? We become qualified to get the mercy of Gaur Nitai. Because in that mood, we can actually pray, Mosama Patita Nahi Tribhuvana. There is no one more fallen than me, that I have come in the association of devotees, but still I'm not making the best use of it. Is there anyone more unfortunate than me? Oh Krishna, oh Gaur Nitai? And then Nitai will say, okay, yeah, see, that's the mood. Okay, let's give him. He'll say, oh, he's a worthy candidate. Let's give our mercy to him. Right? So it's a nice point to meditate. Okay.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
I was thinking you said all these chapters are with attachment and detachment. So when there is a separation, Devahuti realizes her misfortune. So even in life, we have good association and we don't realize. And once that association is coming to an end, we realize how unfortunate we are.
Wonderful, excellent point, Madhu. Thank you. Thank you. When we are actually about to lose the association, then we'll start to appreciate it. And that's so true. Like even, I guess I was talking to a devotee who was in this community and moved out, and and she was expressing how she's really missing that association. Like really, after moving out, she realized how glorious is this, how so similarly, like even with devotees leaving, now is the time we have the association, make the best use, otherwise we don't know how long we have the association. So very nice point. Thank you.
Another point that I was thinking is, you mentioned that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talked about 2 ways that we don't get deeper association. One is that we have attachment to sense gratification, and one is we have we don't know the glory of the Vaishnavas. And I was thinking about Srila Prabhupada, how because he's so potent that everyone he came in contact with in America had attachment to sense gratification and didn't know his glories, but still, because of his potency, they got that deep association, right? Like even though they didn't know his glories and they were attached to sense gratification.
Right. So yeah, so as I mentioned, like any way anyone comes in contact with devotee, benefit is there, right? But again, to your point, who are the devotees who got the best association of Srila Prabhupada? Who gave up sense gratification and said, okay, Prabhupada, we are willing to listen to you. They saw that Prabhupada is our eternal well-wisher. Whatever he's saying is for our benefit, not for his. They saw the glory of Prabhupada and then they surrendered their life. And then they got the next association. They became, Maharaj and great devotees. So yes, association is always there, but again the point, how can we make the best? So both points are valid in this example.
Prabhuji, I also really like the point that how Vaishnavas are so merciful. Even if some people are offensive, they still pray for them.
Yeah. I mean, that point is something that we can cultivate. Even if someone does something bad, we can always say, Krishna, we are all in the hospital. Even the person in the hospital, please help him, help me. We are all in the same boat. So you can pray for other person. Any other points, anyone? Okay, so should we start chapter number 24, renunciation of Kardamuni? So maybe we'll do another 10-15 minutes. We'll take a break after that. Okay, so let's start text 1.
Maitreya Uvacha Nirveda Vadinim Evam Manvardhitaram Munihi Dayalu Shalinim Aha Shuklam Deva Vyaritam Smaran.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Recalling the words of Lord Vishnu, the merciful sage Kardam replied as follows to Swayambhuva Manu's praiseworthy daughter Devahuti, who was speaking words full of renunciation.
So, so in this chapter, what are we going to see? We are finally going to see the birth of Kapiladev. We are going to see Brahma's words to both Kardama and Devahuti. Brahma knows that the incarnation of the Supreme Personality is going to appear. So he speaks to both Kardama and Devahuti. So that we'll see that section. We'll see the marriage of Kardamuni's daughters, right? That also Brahma actually says, okay, this is how you should do it. Then we see Kardamuni leaving for the forest and his conversation with the Lord. So that's all covered in this chapter. So in the first word, we see how Maitreya Rishi is saying that Manu Duhitaram, the daughter of Manu, and particularly he uses the word here. He says Shalinim. Shalinim means one who is worthy of praise. Why is Devahuti worthy of praise? Just because of the words that she spoke. Imagine like she has been a princess, she did so nice seva to her husband, and now see her mood of lamentation. And those words that she spoke are actually worthy of praise. And also it says Nirveda Vadina. And those words were full of Nirveda. Nirveda means the words are full of renunciation, right? Then Dayalu Muni. Dayalu means what? Merciful, right? So the merciful Maitreya Rishi, then he actually, he spoke. And then it says, how did he speak? Shukla Abhivyaritam Smaran, recalling the words of Vishnu. What words of Vishnu did he recall? She asked for, what did Devotee ask for?
Son.
Okay. And so what is Maitreya Rishi remembering words of Vishnu before speaking? So the reference here is in 3rd canto, 21st chapter, text 32. When the Lord appeared in front of Kardama, what did he say? He said, I will myself appear as a son, as the incarnation, as your son. Like I will myself appear as your son. So Kardamuni was thinking, she's asking for a son, but the Lord has already said that he himself is going to appear. So thinking of that, yes, the Lord has made the word that he's going to appear, then he started speaking. Text 2.
Vishya Uvacha Makida Raja Putritam Atmanam Pratyanindita Dite Bhagavan Stek Sharo Garbham Adhurat Samprapatsate.
Hare Krishna. The sage said, Do not disappointed with yourself, O princess. You are actually praiseworthy. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will shortly enter your womb as your son. Hare Krishna.
Right. So here, Kardamuni is saying, Ma Khidaha. Do not be sad. Do not be disappointed. Why? You are actually anindite. Ninda we know, ninda karna. That means what? To criticize. Anindite, one who is actually beyond criticism. You are actually beyond criticism. So the point that you are saying that you had my association, you did not get the best of the use of that, you're beyond criticism. Why? Because Bhagavad Akshara, that infallible Supreme Bhagavan, Garbham Adurat Sampra Patsyate, is soon going to enter into your womb. And didn't Kardamuni know this all the way through? Even like, when he got married, he already knew that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to enter into the womb of Devahuti. So one way, if you consider that all those association for 100 autumns, Kirtan Muni was already aware that yes, I'm doing all these arrangements, but finally for what? For the Supreme Personality of Godhead to enter into the womb and come as a child. Right? He's already aware of that. Text 3.
व्रतासि भद्रं ते दमेन नियमेन च तपोधर्मीनदानैश्च श्रद्धया चेश्वरं भज.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji. You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Hare Krishna.
Right. So here, what is he saying? Drita Vrata Asi. You actually did Drita Vrata, very severe Vrata. Right? You have undertaken so sacred vows. Bhadram Te. Right? And sometimes devotees, they actually bless. Bhadram Te. All benedictions unto you, all blessings unto you. Right? So here he's telling his wife, you did all these sacred vows, all auspiciousness unto you, all blessings. May God bless you, Prabhupada says. Then he says, because the Lord is going to appear in your womb, you actually worship the Lord. Ishwaram bhaja. Bhaja Ishwaram, right? Worship Ishwara. And how should you do it? Shraddhaya, with great faith. Damena, with control of your senses. Niyamena, religious observance. Tapaha, austerity. And Dravina Danahi. That means giving money in charity. So, right. So because you perform vows, okay. So that's the main point here. So you worship the Lord, and then the Lord will actually enter into your womb and be born as your own son. Right? So previously, what did we discuss the point? When does one get fearlessness? When one receives spiritual instruction. Right? And here, what is Kardama giving Devahuti? He's giving her a spiritual instruction. You worship the Lord, and this is how you should worship. And when you do that, then the Lord will appear in your home, right? So great faith, right? So this practically for us also. How should we engage in devotion service? With Shraddha. Actually, Shraddha is the what's the right word? It is a key. What?
Foundation.
Foundation for sure, but it's also the key of our progress in bhakti. The more our faith progresses, deepens, the more we are progressing in Krishna consciousness. And that's why when we talk of Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttama, one of the classification is just based on the faith of that person. Right? So as we are engaging devotional service with great faith, that means we are progressing in bhakti. Then second point, Damena, control of the senses. This is the basic point. If we are not controlling our senses, what is the question of engaging in bhakti? So control of the senses. Then Niyamena, religious observance. Tapaha, austerity, and giving money in charity. Okay, text 4. So okay, sorry. And the purport, like Prabhupada saying, in order to spiritually advance or to achieve the Lord of mercy of the Lord, one must do all these things, right? And he talks of sense control, and he talks of austerity, penance, giving our money in charity, all those things. Okay, 4.
Tatvayāradita shuklo vitan vanmamakam yashaha cheta te hridaya grantim odaryo brahma bhavanaha.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead being worshipped by you will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the note of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So what is he saying here? Sa tvaya aradita, right? We see this word aradhana, Aradhita, right? And that's our Srimati Radharani, the best of all Aradhitas, right? So, Satvaya Aradhita Shukla. So, having worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being worshipped by you, then Vitan Mamakam Yashaha, he will spread my fame. What does this mean? He will spread my fame? Vaishnava, did they want to be famous? Okay, we'll come back to this. Okay, I'll come back to this. Cheta te hridaya gantim. And it is actually he who will, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will cut the knot in your heart. Right? The knot made of ahankar by Audarya, by becoming your son, and Brahma Bhavana, by teaching you knowledge of Brahma, that is Brahman. Right? So what is he saying? That the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he appears as your son, he will give you spiritual knowledge, and that spiritual knowledge will cut the knot in your heart. What is a knot in our heart?
I am this body.
Ahankar, our false ego, considering.
Yeah, all six Kama, Krodha, Lobha.
Okay, yeah. So there's a manifestation of the knot is appears as Kam, Krodha, Lobha, etc. So see, the point that we are spiritual and we are identifying with matter, that is false ego. That is the knot, basically. Right? Anyone can say a verse from the first canto, second chapter, where it talks of how the knot can be cut off by the sword of wisdom of Bhagavatam. There are actually few verses along these lines.
Prabhu, I'm just remembering only one line. Chintanti
Yeah.
sarva
Oh,
karma.
okay, go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, Chindanti, you're on the right path. That's the word. Chindanti means to cut off.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think that one is like Vidyate Hridaya Granthi Chindyate Sarva Sanshaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drashta Evatma Nishware.
That is one verse. Other verse is so that's I think 1 to 21. I think 20.
Yeah, this is 1 to 21.
But
Prabhuji.
there's also 1 to 15. Yet anudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandanam. Karma granti, not nibandanam. Chindas karma granti nibandanam. Chindanas kovitas tatsa kona kuryat katharate. Who will not hear this message of the Bhagavatam? Because just by hearing this message of the Bhagavatam, the knot in the heart is actually cut. Right? So how is that knot actually destroyed? By this wisdom of the Bhagavatam. So, and that's what Kardamuni is telling Devahuti, that just by receiving that wisdom from your son, this hard knot in your heart will actually be cut. Right? And this knot, Prabhupada in the purport talks about this knot, and he says that knot is our, attachment of matter and spirit, or misidentification of matter to be our true self. But spiritual knowledge can vanquish this. But when is this knot more and more tightened? The knot is there, but it becomes more and more tightened. I mean, when you're making a garland or when you're dealing with threads, sometimes there's a knot, and you're trying to open, but somehow someone comes and makes it more tight. It becomes even harder to open, right? So what is it that makes the knot even more tighter?
That attraction between men and women.
Yeah, so Prabhupada actually, he says, just in the fifth canto, the explanation was given by Lord Rishabha to his sons in the fifth canto. This is 5:14:35. Pumsa striya mithuni bhavam etam tayor mitho hridaya granthi ahur. Hridaya granthi, same word, right? That knot in the heart, hridaya granthi, is actually why? Because of the attachment of the opposite sex, pumsa and striya. But from this attachment, what happens? Ato, griha, kshetra, suta, apta, vitta. Right? And from this attachment, what comes? Ato, griha. As soon as man and woman come together, then it's like, okay, now we need a house to stay. So, griha. Then, kshetra, property. Suta, suta is children. Apta, relatives. Brother-in-law, father-in-law, this in-law, that in-law, all relatives, right? then with their wealth. And then because of all these expansions, what happens? Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Then we are put into this moha aham mameti. I and mine. Right? I am this material body. I am husband of this. I am father of this. I am brother-in-law of this. I am brother, and then all these things. Right? And then that's how the knot gets tighter and tighter. Right? But this entire knot can be cut off from the root by receiving spiritual wisdom. So even in Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, Krishna actually compares the knot to the knowledge to asina, he says. Jnanasina in the 4th chapter. This is, I think, the last verse of the 4th chapter. He says, just like it's like a sword, it cuts away our ignorance. So same point here. A knot in the heart will be cut away by this knowledge. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear as your son. He will give you a wisdom by which this Hridaya Granthi will actually be cut away. Okay. So let's see text 5.
Maitreya Vacha Devahuti api sandesham Gauravena Prajapatehe Samyak Shradhaya Purusham Kutastham Apajat Gurum.
Sri Maitreya said, Devahuti was fully faithful and respectful toward the direction of her husband, Kardama, who was one of the Prajapatis, or generators of human beings in the universe. O great sage, she thus began to worship the master of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart.
It's a very beautiful verse actually. Maitreya Vacha Devahuti Sandesham Gauravena. Anyone remembers this word Gauravena? Where did we see this? Vishrambhena and Gauravena. Everyone should remember these two words. These are like very key words. How should one serve one's spiritual master? Vishrambhena and Gauravena. What's the meaning of these two words?
Submissively and with respect.
Look at this chapter 23, the first 3 verses which talks of Devahuti's service to Kardama. And that's where we see these words, Vishrambhena and Gauravena. That means Devahuti, how did she serve her husband? With intimacy, but at the same time with the mood of awe and reverence. Right? So both of these aspects should be there in our service. Intimacy to serve the spiritual master, and at the same time, that mood of awe and reverence. So here, when we see the word Gauravena, Devahuti Sandesham Gauravena. How did she receive the Sandesha of Maitreya, of Kardama? How did she receive that instruction? What was the instruction? This is how you should worship the Supreme Personality, with great faith, with austerity. Right? So how did Devahuti receive it? Gauravena, with great respect. Right? With awe and reverence. She said, this is the instruction that I was asking. So this is the real association I'm getting from my husband, because now he's giving me spiritual instructions. So she received it with great respect. Right? And then Samyak Shraddhaya. So not only receiving it with great respect, Samyak, with complete faith in the instruction. Right? Then Purusham Abhajat Gurum Kuta Stam. And then she worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is actually Kutastha, who is in the heart of every living entity. So how should we actually receive the instructions of the spiritual master? With Gauravena and with Samyak Shraddha. Right? Sometimes we receive an instruction from a spiritual master and we say, yes, Guru Maharaj is giving an instruction. And we may sometimes take it lightly. Oh, no, it's okay. I mean, like, yes, it is important, but, we may take it lightly. No. But here is saying, with great respect, what words are coming from the mouth of the spiritual master? How should one receive it? One should make it one's life and soul. Right? Can anyone live without one's life? right? So similarly, Prabhupada makes a point in purport. That's what I'm saying. That no one can live without one's life, and one should take that instruction of the spiritual master as one's life. That means every moment, just like we are breathing air, we should be breathing in that instruction of the spiritual master. And who did this? I mean, so many examples. But Prabhupada, first instruction, take this message of Krishna consciousness and spread it to the English-speaking world. Spread it in the West. One instruction. Whole life, Prabhupada was just meditating. Guru gave me one instruction. How will I fulfill it? How will I fulfill it? Whole life. He was breathing in that instruction. Right? That's the first point, with great respect. And in having complete faith. Sometimes we may doubt. Oh, Guru Maharaj said this, but he does not know my limitations. He does not know my practical aspect. He does not know this. Then we do not have that complete faith, right? So we should receive it with complete faith. One thing with instructions with spiritual master is we receive instructions, and sometimes some instructions may be that we are receiving with respect, we are having complete faith, but sometimes it's also that, okay, I want to do this, I know this is important, but maybe not right now. I need to prepare myself to do it. So Prabhupada, when Lilamrit, what is the title? Lifetime in Preparation. So he had that instruction. He received it in 1922. When did he actually fulfill it? 1965. Almost like 43 years later, he fulfilled it. But did he ever give up that instruction? No. It was always in mind. Instructions there, but I want to fulfill it, but I'm preparing towards it. Right? So an instruction from a guru is actually, it is never, we should always accept it. Maybe it is sometimes we may have to prepare to actually follow that instruction. Right? But with great respect and complete faith. Prabhupada also makes a point in the purport that he says with great faith, one should receive the instruction, and with great faith, one should also execute that instruction. So even while we are doing the seva, we have great faith. But yes, Guru has given the instruction. That means Guru is also giving the empowerment to actually follow the instruction. Right? Both the aspects have to be there. Prabhupada also says that he says the husband should be so enlightened. Husband should enlighten the wife how to achieve spiritual perfection. So when the husband is enlightening the wife how to progress in bhakti, the husband is also a guru. Husband should be so enlightened that he should become the spiritual master of his wife. He should enlighten her in her advancement of Krishna consciousness. And he gives the example of Shiva, Lord Shiva, giving instructions to Parvati. And also one last point Prabhupada says, how she worshipped which Lord? The Lord who is situated in the heart of every living entity. So our Lord is not a faraway Lord. He's right here. He's closest to us, right? So you just worship the Lord right there. So one does not have to seek the Lord outside. Simply concentrate on one's worship in good faith as instructed by the Guru. Right? So the Lord is so close to us. So when we follow the instruction of the Guru, then the close Lord becomes accessible to us. Okay. So let's stop here. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll see the appearance of Kapila Deva. Okay. Any final points in this last section? I think the last few verses I made some nice practical points. Anyone?
Vijay, I like that you said that we should make the instructions of our Guru as our life and soul. Life here, how can we live without our life here? And maybe we cannot fulfill it right now, but we should prepare for it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Prabhu, regarding on the same term, we often hear that, say, like, since our gurus have like so many disciples, they have not given a specific one-to-one instruction to us. So, how do we figure it out? So in that context, Kurma mentions once that chant 16 rounds for regulative principles is your instruction.
Yeah. I mean, like Prabhupada has given us every.
I mean,
yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's the point, Prabhu. Like, that is a greatest instruction, and it is beyond, it's very difficult to perform, Prabhu. Finding 16 rounds time with full attention, and as Samyak Shraddha. Samyak Shraddha means it is pure chanting, right?
Yeah, with full faith. With full faith. Like sometimes you may get an instruction that give your life to Krishna. No, that is give your life to Krishna. I mean, that is also a journey, right? I mean, that's, coming to that point. Like my Guru Maharaj often used to say, just become a good devotee of Krishna. Oh my God, that is like such a big instruction to become a good devotee of Krishna. That's like a whole journey to come to a stage where you can become a good devotee. But I keep like, he often made this point and he told me also like, become a good devotee of Krishna. When he asked, he told me like, when I asked for an instruction, he said, become a good devotee. I mean, that's like such a whole journey. It's like a whole lifetime of preparation to become a good devotee of Krishna. So, but
Read Srimad Bhagavatam, that helps.
read
That's
Srimad.
instant.
It's also very significant, Prabhu, like how he said, just becoming a good devotee of Krishna. That like one good devotee of Krishna, the three words can unveil like an ocean.
Yes, yes. What to talk of devotee? Become a good devotee? That's like such an elevated stage. So it's like a whole lifetime of preparation. So instructions when, that's why guru means what? Heavy.
Mm.
One instruction comes and that's it. Whole life we may be like working towards that instruction. And that's also Prabhupada, and even we may receive some instruction.
Also, Prabhu,
Please Krishna consciousness everywhere.
also sometimes we get like contradictory instructions. So I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. The first year when the devotees from Kulinagram comes, they ask Mahaprabhu, what should we serve? How should we serve? So Mahaprabhu is saying you have to do Nam Bhajan and Vaishnav Seva. Okay, then the question comes, who is a Vaishnava? So Mahaprabhu gives first time is a person who can make, just by looking at him, if you're feeling to chant, he's a topmost Vaishnava. Next year they ask the same question. Then Mahaprabhu gives the instruction saying, anybody who can spread
Krishna. Oh, okay. I was saying Jo Krishna Bhaje, that person. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So this is like very, sometimes we're very, different instructions.
That is
Sometimes.
actually like if you see Mahaprabhu's instructions to them, he was telling a Vaishnava, but he actually talked of Uttama, Madhyama, Kanishta. All three are there in those instructions. Right? So yeah, but I feel it wasn't like a contradiction, but it was just like giving those levels. But yeah, I mean the instruction, like one instruction, and that's it. Like, preach Krishna consciousness. I mean, like that instruction itself, preach Krishna consciousness all over. That is like our whole life. Like lifetimes, we have like unlimited opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. So everything that the Guru gives, to take it seriously, every word, and actually have. So two things we read with great respect and with great shraddha. That's how we receive the instruction. Right? Okay. Any other points at 9 o'clock?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like this point. Work which does not lead one to Krishna consciousness is considered useless.
So how do we understand that? Like you may say that I'm doing my laundry. How is that helping me progress in Krishna consciousness?
Think about Krishna while doing anything. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna.
Yeah. So while we are doing anything we are doing, we should have the holy name going on. Should keep the spiritual vibration going on. Yeah. So, yes. Okay.
And this is also a powerful point. Unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Prabhuji, one question like Kadama is already know he has to give a son, but after 9 daughters, he is leaving home and he like what is the just wondering why that conversation started.
Because again, we mentioned this point that yes, he knows that the son is going to. He knows that Kapila Dev is going to take birth, but he's actually, see, Vedic culture is more of that interaction. He wants to experience that interaction, and Devotee also, by expressing her words of lamenting, she is appreciating her position as what happened and what she needs to do now, right? Like somewhat recently, like some few speakers have been like, this point of journaling has been coming again and again, right? So when we are writing or when we are saying something, then it actually becomes more concrete. And he wanted Devotee to express that. Then she would appreciate Kapil Dev more, understand the beauty. So that way. Okay. Okay, let's take a finance break and we'll come back and we'll continue. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Shri Krishna Murari. Shri Bhakti Mandire Rahanishi Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari Mama Mandire Rahanishi Krishna Murari Mama Mana Mandire Rahanishi Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari Mama Mana Mandire Rahanishi Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari Mama Mana Mandire Rahanishi Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari Mama Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari Mama Mana Mandire Rahanishi Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari. Krishna Murari. Mama mana mandiro Krishna Murari. Shri Krishna Murari. Krishna Murari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so before we continue, and I'm going to say something, maybe you may not like it, but so let me wait till, okay, let's do a couple of verses that everyone is back, and then I want to make a point. Okay, let's continue next verse. Next 7, right?
We didn't read text 6, I think.
6, yeah, 6.
Tasyam bahutite kale bhagavan madhusudanaha kardamam viryam apano jagyegmir divadarini.
After many, many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudan, the killer of demon Madhu, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Devahuti, just as fire comes from wood in a sacrifice.
So now we are reading of the appearance of Kapila Dev, right? Tasyam, in Devahuti, bahutite kale. So how much time they take for the daughters to come? In a day they were actually born. But here, after many years, so Devahuti, again she had to do worship of the Lord following the instructions of Karda Muni for many years. And then after many years, Bhagwan Madhusudana, that Supreme Personality Godhead, who is a killer of demon Madhu, Kardama Viryam, he entered into the Virya, that means the semen of Kardama, and then Jagye, and that same semen entered into Devahuti. And then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is the example given? Eva Agni Daruni. What is the example of fire and wood? What is the comparison here? So the Lord appeared from Devahuti just like fire appears from wood. What does it mean?
Prabhu, usually whenever we say fire and wood, Prabhupada says that fire is already in the wood, present in the wood.
So,
right?
so fire is in wood, but how is the fire kindled? You take wood, you rub it together, and then fire. So similarly, the Lord is already situated in the heart of Devahuti, right? In the heart of Kardama. But what actually was the rubbing that actually made the Lord to appear? That rubbing was the devotion of Kardama, right? Because how we saw previously, he did his sacrifice for, what is it, 10,000 years? 10,000 years? 10,000 years he did austerity. And then that kind of austerity actually inspired the Lord to appear as his son. Right? So Prabhupada makes the point. Fire is already present in wood, by a certain process is kindled. So here, by the devotion of Kardama, the Lord actually appeared as his son. Then And Prabhupada also makes a point that how the Lord is fully independent, right? Like he gives an example when the Lord appears from the nostril of Brahmaji, as in who? Varaha.
Varaha.
Varahadev. And he appears out of a pillar, as in
Nrsimhadev.
Varahadev. Or he appears out of semen, as in Kardamuni. Though he's appearing from these, he's appearing from nostril of Brahma, pillar, semen, that does not make these the source of the appearance of the Lord. The Lord is just using these instruments to actually, or this way to appear, but the Lord is totally independent. He can appear from anywhere. He can appear from anywhere. Right? So the Lord is fully independent. Right? Okay, text 7.
Prabhuji, quick question. Sorry.
No.
So we have always seen that Lord Krishna is called by different names, and here he's being called Madhusudan.
Yeah.
Any reason? Like, okay, he's a killer of demon Madhu, but why in this context?
Like one point with Madhusudan Prabhupada, one point in Madhusudan Prabhupada often uses is as Krishna killed the demon Madhu, similarly, like in Bhagavad Gita, when Madhusudan is there, Prabhupada is saying, this word is used Madhusudan because Arjun is saying, Krishna, you killed the demon of doubt in my heart. So similarly here with Devahuti, I have actually been afflicted with this sense gratification, this ignorance. So please, Krishna, Madhusudan, you appear and you cut away. Just like how you cut away the demon Madhu, you cut away my hard knot in Hridaya Granthi. So that is one of the meanings that Prabhupada used in Bhagavad Gita. And the same thing can be applied here also, right? To cut away the Hridaya Granthi. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Text 6.
Text 7, right? Text
Yeah.
7. Avadam dayam stadavyomi vade prane ghana gana gayanti tam smagandharva nrityantya saraso nuda.
When the Lord appears, what happens? Everything becomes auspicious. In the heavenly kingdoms, Gandharvas, they start singing. There's a party. There's like, oh, beat the drums. The Lord is appearing. Right? Imagine. So, like for us, we may get excited. Oh, so and so event is happening. And the demigods, how do they get excited? Oh, see, the Lord is appearing on the earth planet. Let's play the drums. Right? So that's what happens here. Okay, let's hear translation.
Hare Krishna. At the time of his descent on earth, demigods in the form of raining clouds sounded musical instruments in the sky. The celestial musicians, the Gandharvas, sang the glories of the Lord, while celestial dancing girls known as Apsaras danced in joyful ecstasy.
Muda, the word muda is important. Joyful ecstasy. They're so happy. Oh, the Lord is appearing, and in bliss, they are like singing, they are dancing, they're playing musical instruments. Okay, next 8.
Pitus sumanaso divya kecharar apavarjitaha raseduscha disha sarva amhamsi cha manamsi cha.
At the time of the Lord's appearance, the demigods flying freely in the sky showered flowers, all the directions, all the waters, and everyone's mind became very satisfied.
The similar description we read when Krishna appears in the 10th canto in the 3rd chapter. First few verses are all about how everything becomes so auspicious before Krishna appears. The demigods are pleased, and then all the directions. Similar point is there. All the Disha, the Ambansi, and Manamsi. So the mind of all people, the waters, the directions, everyone became satisfied. Oh, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is appearing. And then also Petu, Suma, Nasaha Divyaha. And then flowers are falling from the sky, right? And then Prabhupada elaborates on this verse, this Kecharahi, the demigods who fly in the sky, right? He says that demigods, they can travel without any hindrance, right? Because the higher living entities, they can travel without hindrance. And he talks of how Siddhalok, they travel in space from one planet to another. But we when we travel to space, then there are so many hindrances, right? Because we are using a mechanical means of traveling. So that will not be successful. If you really want to travel, then you perform Ashtanga Yoga, get the Siddhi, then you can travel one planet to other. No problem. Travel, right? But so that's what Prabhupada is commenting. Text 9.
Tatkardamashramopadam sarasvatya parishritam swayam bhusakam rishibhir marichadibhir abhyasyat.
Krishna translation. Brahma, the firstborn living being, went along with Marichi and other sages to the place of Kardama's hermitage, which was surrounded by the river Saraswati. Hare Krishna.
So here, knowing that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is now appearing, then Brahma with Marichi, other sages, they all came to this place of Bindusara. Right? So, Mata, you have a question?
Prabhu, I was thinking Khechari is another name of Putana. So, because she could fly, and also the village where she died, she left, that place is also called Khechari Gram.
Yeah, Khechari. So those who can fly in sky without any hindrance. Interesting. So it's interesting. Demigods can fly, the demons can also fly. Only we living entities, we try, we human beings, we say, okay, I need so-and-so spaceship, this is all mechanical means, so we cannot do it. Okay, so text 10 to 19 is how Brahma, he's actually glorifying Kardamuni and Devahuti, and he talks about the activities of Kapila. Okay, so we'll try to finish up to text 19 and then we'll stop. So before we go, I also want to see, anyway, as I said, you'll not be happy to hear, but so one is next week is exam, right? Everyone okay? Anyway, either 19 or 26, but one of these Saturdays we have to complete this exam, right? And then also the essay due by the end of this month. And also one thing that we need to do is the presentations. So I was thinking in the month of November, maybe mid-November, we'll have 2 Saturdays and we'll do presentations on the first half of the 3rd canto. So there are 33 chapters. So maybe first 16 chapters, right? And let's see how many of you here, let's show of hands. I know some of them you have to do it as a part of your course, but anyone would like to just do like 10 minutes presentations on summaries of the certain chapters. We'll assign you the chapters and you have to select. So let's, you can do electronic or just raise your hands. Okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Amshi Gopal Prabhu, yes. Okay, for Arundhati Mataji, yes. Vrindavan Vilasini Mataji, yes.
I can do
Yes,
it.
Prabhuji.
Will also be
Oh,
interested.
no. I just need to get the count. Vijay Radhika Mataji, yes. And then Sri Radhe Mataji. Long Manjari Mataji, Mohanam Prabhu, yes.
Yes, and Kaushalya Mataji. Me too.
Yes. Yes, okay. Okay, so how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay. Okay, so 13 I'm seeing 13 or yeah, I think 13 or 14.
I can't raise my hand, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. So 13, and we have chapters so up to, let's say, chapter number 16. So either one or some of you have to do 2 chapters.
There's also some people missing today. Open
Yeah,
up the chart.
I counted 2 of them. So including them, 13, 14.
Did you count me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, you counted.
Thank you.
Raj Prabhu, Rashri Mataji would like to do a summary on 10 minutes summary on a particular chapter.
Prabhuji, I'm going to pass this time, maybe next time.
Okay, so let's say
Hare
14.
Krishna.
The 3rd canto.
Yeah, 3rd canto. Right?
Till 16th chapter, you said.
Yeah, so yeah, up to 16th chapter. Yeah. So most of you can do 1 chapter. Whether someone is enthusiastic, you can select 2 chapters also. And even if you go more than 16, that is fine. So either 1 or 2 chapters you can select. You can text me the chapter numbers, put it on the group actually, so that they are taken. Or I'll do a poll, right? I'll do a poll and you can just sign up for that. And then it's just like a 10 minutes presentation and maximum 12 minutes. And you have to give a summary and the key points in the chapter. And we'll do the first session on so November 16th and November 23rd. So these two, 16th and 23rd will be these sessions. Okay. So you can already mark, and it won't be too much of your time. One chapter, go through Subodhini, go through your notes, see the key points, what is the summary, and what was the key themes in this. Right? And 10 minutes is an easy presentation. It'll be a nice overview of the entire third canto also. So it'll be really, I remember last time when we did this, it was so nice to see the whole flow of the third canto with the key points. Right? Okay. So please apply. I'll post a poll and please sign up. 1 or 2 chapters you can do. And, yeah. Any questions on?
Prabhu, there is a list of presentation topics at the end of our handbook.
I'm not doing that. And I asked Dean Gauranga Prabhu, he said you can do even the summaries. That's also fine.
Okay. And also, you with my videos, right?
What?
Are you okay with my, how I
yeah.
make videos?
So you can be innovative and make and slides if you like, and that's always nice. You can meditate on a chapter. The whole point is to dive into this nectar of Bhagavatam. So meditate on a chapter, already start thinking, okay, what is the main thing? Maybe make it more interactive so that we all remember that, oh, this chapter, this was it, right? So please mark November 16th and 23rd, these 2 weekends. We'll try to do all the presentations. Good, everyone? Okay. Let's continue. Text number 10.
And exam date, did we finalize, Prabhu?
What, Mati?
Exam date, the test.
Yeah, exam date. Next weekend, we also have Adi Gadadhar Prabhu in town. I mean, how many of you 19th, next week? Okay, put your hands down, everyone. Electronic hands down. Okay. If your hand is still up, then it's 19th. Consider. Okay, how many of you can give 19th? Raise your hand. Come on, 1 week. Okay, so then it is final. 26th. 26th is the exam. Okay, 2 weeks from now, so you can prepare. Okay.
So in November, the presentation time is saying you will be in India, right?
I'll not be there, yeah. But we'll
So
record everything.
then how we are going to do the presentations? We will do ourselves?
I mean, you all are going to do, and I'm going to record it and then see later. Because, I'll give you a feedback after, because I don't want to do like a 4 weeks or 4 weeks break just on this. So you can always keep the Bhagavatam flow going on. So you can meditate, prepare, and we'll have it recorded and later on.
It's what I said, Prabhu, most of the times our presentations will not work. You have to run it, all those things we
So
have
all that
seen.
we'll make sure. I'll ask Gopinath Acharya Prabhu to get the host and he'll take charge of that seva. So
23rd is, I think, Thanksgiving weekend, bro.
no, I think Thanksgiving is last weekend, Prabhu, this time.
Sure.
So that's why I said 16 and 23rd.
Yes.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is 30th. So that can be a break, and then after that I'll be back from India. So November 4th to December 6th we'll be in India. So okay, so let's continue. Text number 10. Everyone okay? Any questions? Good. So 10 minutes prepare, maximum you can go 12, and then we'll have a ring and cut off. Presentation and then exam and essay. Right? And also, like, many of you have already talked to Ratnaradhika about the shloka. Those who have not done it, please do. Okay. Text 10.
Bhagavantam param brahma satvinamshena shatruhan tattva sankyana vidyaptyai jatam vidvan ajam swarat.
Hare Krishna. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga. Hare Krishna.
It's a very nice verse. So here he's saying, Shatruhan, O killer of the enemy Vidura, Vidwan Ajaha Swarat. Normally, when we say Swarat, who are we referring to? Janmadya Yasya Antamada Itaratas Charteshu Abhigya Swarat. Swarat, Supreme Person. But here the same point, Swarat and Ajaha is also referred to who? Krishna, who is unborn. But both of these qualities are actually referred to Brahma. And then here in this verse, Prabhupada says, he's almost independent, right? He's not completely Swarat because even he is dependent on Krishna, but almost Swarat, right? So hence he says almost independent. And he is unborn because he's actually is not born like with a father and mother. He's actually born from the navel coming from the lotus coming from the navel of Lord Vishnu, right? So Brahma, why is he described with these qualities? Because Brahma, who is unborn and almost independent in acquiring knowledge, he could understand. Understand what? Bhagwantam Param, that the Supreme Lord, Brahma Sattvena. So Prabhupada explains this word Sattva. Sattva normally means what? Goodness, right? Sattva, Raja, Tama, goodness. But here it says Brahma Sattvena. That means quality of pure goodness. Like even the goodness in this material world, when we say Sattva, there's actually no pure Sattva in this world. Even the mode of goodness is always tinged with passion and ignorance. Right? So there's no pure goodness in this material world. When we talk of Brahma Sattvena, that means that pure goodness, or that actually comes to the spiritual or transcendental goodness. And the Lord, when he appears, Brahma Sattvena, he appears with that mood of transcendental goodness. Right? So Prabhupada says, when the Lord appears, he brings with him all the paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Name, form, etc. Everything is Shuddha Sattva, or also known as Vasudev. And when the Lord appears, it is the Shuddha Sattva or Vasudev aspect from the spiritual world is descending onto the material world. It is no contamination with the material world. It is just that Shuddha Sattva is descending along with the paraphernalia to this material world. And hence the word Sattvena is used, Brahma Sattvena. Right? Then the next word is Amsena. Right? What does Amsha mean? Any verse where we know the word Amsha?
Yetechamsa
The Amsha, right? Amsha means part, right? So when it says Amshena means a portion of that Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to appear, right? So it's not a direct, complete incarnation, but it is a portion. So there's Amsha, and then what is a portion of a portion called? Kala, right? So Amsha and Kala. Amsha is direct portion, and then portion of a portion is called Kala. Chaitanya Charitamrita, what are the examples given for Kala? In Adi Lila chapter 5, Nityananda. So it says Amsha, 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 right? Who is the first Amsha? Karondaksha Vishnu. His Amsha, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. His Amsha, Shirodaksha Vishnu. And then Kala is Anantashish. Right? Anantashish is given as an example. Right? So Amshena means a portion. And then that portion is going to Jatam, is going to appear. And Tattva Sankhyana. Tattva Sankhya Vigyapate. He's going to explain the Sankhya Tattva. So that's Sankhya Yoga. Kapil Dev is going to explain. The Sankhya Yoga is a yoga of 24 elements. Now it's very interesting. Prabhupada often, even in his classes, he explains. Well, there are two Kapilas. And he says one is Devahiti Putra Kapila. Everyone has seen that book? Prabhupada has one separate book. Right? Prabhupada gave a series on lectures on instructions of Kapila Dev to Devahuti in Mumbai. Actually, I'm hearing those whole series. The whole series of Bhagavatam classes in Mumbai on this third canto, instructions of Kapila Dev. Very nice classes Prabhupada gives. So every time he talks of Kapila, he says what? Devahuti Putra Kapila. All right. And even on the book, Teachings of Lord Kapila, yeah, you have seen BBT book? It says, in Teachings of Lord Kapila, below the son of Devahuti. I mean, like, why would someone say that? Because Prabhupada is differentiating that this Kapila and there is another Kapila who Prabhupada says atheistic Kapila. Right? There's another Kapila who came later who preached Sankhya philosophy about the different elements, the material elements, but he did not take it to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead being the source of these elements. So he just stops at analysis of the material elements, and that is atheistic conclusion. So Prabhupada differentiates. He makes a point in the purport. There's Devahuti Putra Kapila, and there's the atheistic Kapila. Right? So Devahuti Putra Kapila, he explains both material world and spiritual world. Both of them are explained. Okay. Text 11.
Svabhajayam vishuddhena chetasa tatchikirshitam prarishyamana asubhi kardamam chedam avyadat.
Hare Krishna. After worshipping the Supreme Lord with gladdened senses and a pure heart for his intended activities as an incarnation, Brahma spoke as follows to Kardama and Devahuti. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Sir Bhajayam Vishuddhena Chetasa. So, when the Lord we read is what? Satvena or Vishuddha, right? The Lord is transcendental. How should we worship the Lord? See, how do we engage in devotional activities? With what energy of the Lord?
Samvit.
Samvit is the knowledge aspect. Okay, but practically, like when we are engaging in bhakti, what energies of the Lord are we using in offering to Krishna? So, see, the energy is divided into three: internal energy, external energy, we are
Marginal.
right?
Yeah.
So, when we are here in this external energy, in this material world, we use external objects, external energy in the service of the Lord. But is it only the external energy that is offered? Like Duryodhana, he cooked all the nice food for Krishna. That's all the external energy of the Lord. He said, Krishna, please come for lunch. And Krishna said, no. There is no devotion. There is no affection. So we use the external energy, but that external energy should be connected with the internal energy. And that's when the offering is actually complete. Right? And that internal energy is actually our bhav, our devotion. So when the Lord is actually Satvena, he is transcendental, we have to worship the Lord with that pure goodness. With that pure goodness. That means with devotion. Finally, we are using external things in Krishna service, but finally it is what? Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, all this we can give. But with what? Bhaktya. Right? Bhaktya, that bhakti has to be there, right? So here is actually the Brahma is worshipping the Lord with Vishuddhena Chetasa, with that pure heart, right? And then when one worships the Lord with pure heart, with that devotion, then what happens? Prasya manai ashubhihi. Then naturally our senses get gladdened or purified, right? Which is the definition of bhakti that says our senses gets purified? Famous definition of bhakti. Senses get purified.
Sarvopadi
Sarvopadi vinirmuktam
tatparatena nirmalam rishikena sevanam bhakti.
So this is bhakti. What are we doing? With our purified senses, we are actually worshipping. So here, these two words are very significant. So how did he worship? Vishuddhena chetasa. In the Vishuddha Sattva. Right? And when one worships with that, then our senses get purified, or with gladdened senses. We can experience that mood of bhakti. So with gladdened senses, he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what was his mood of worshipping? Chikitsatam. He worshipped the Lord for his intended activities. Or the Lord is going to come speak, Sankhya philosophy. So he worshipped the Lord in that way. And then Brahma then spoke to Kardama and Devahuti. So after worshipping the Lord, he spoke. So Prabhupada in the Prabhupada in purport makes an excellent point. He says, why is Brahmaji And here actually Prabhupada is saying Brahmaji is worshipping or respecting even Kardama, though Kardama is his own son. Why is that? Why would Brahmaji actually one way worship Kardama, his own son? Anyone knows?
Because the Supreme Lord is going to appear as his son.
So Prabhupada, excellent. So Prabhupada actually makes a point in the purport that he said, how fortunate is that person to whom the Supreme Personality of God is appearing as his own son. And Brahmaji is saying, I should worship this person. The Lord is appearing as a son. How fortunate is Kardama. And then Prabhupada quotes one reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Madhya 1996. 19th chapter, text 96. And this is Raghupati Upadhyaya. Prabhupada just says in the purport, one poet says this and this, right? And he explains the whole verse. But the reference is Madhya 1996. And here Raghupati Upadhyaya is actually making the point. Says Shrutim apare smritim itare bharatam anye bhajantu bhava bhita aham iha. Right? So first verse is saying, those who are afraid of material existence, they worship the Shrutis, the Vedic literature. Some worship the Smriti, right? So Shrutim apare, Smritim itare. They worship the Smriti. Or they worship, other worship the Mahabharata, right? Anye bhajantu bhava bhitaha. They worship the Mahabharata. Who do I worship? Aham iha nandam vande. I am worshipping who? Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead is playing. Right? I'm just worshipping Nanda Maharaj because he's so fortunate that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is playing as a small child in his Hridaya. So how glorious is Nanda Maharaj? People may worship everyone, but I will just worship Nanda Maharaj. So similarly, Brahma is saying, I will just worship Kardama. Supreme Personality of Godhead is appearing in his as his son. Right? So this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita is also quoted in Rupa Goswami's Padyavali, text number 126. Very beautiful verse. Okay, text 12.
Brahmavacha Tvayame Prachitistata Kalpita Nirvikataha Yanme San Jagrihe Vakyam Bhavan Manada Manayan. Lord Brahma said, my dear son Kardama, since you have completely accepted my instructions without duplicity, showing them proper respect, you have worshipped me properly. Whatever instructions you took from me, you have carried out, and thereby you have honored me.
So Brahma is actually praising Kardama. He says, Tata, O son, Tvaya me apachiti. You have worshipped me properly. When did Kardamuni worship Brahmaji? He worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead for 10,000 years, right? When did he worship Brahma?
By honoring his words.
Yes, that's the key point. So he says, Nirvyalikataha sanjagre vakyam bhavan. Because you have followed my instructions without duplicity, therefore you have worshipped me. Kardama has worshipped Brahma by following his instructions without duplicity. So how do we worship our spiritual masters? By following their instructions without duplicity. So like we celebrate Vyas Puja, right? We honor the spiritual master. And yes, we do it. We do the worship, we do the artik, we offer flowers at the lotus feet. So that all we do. But the real way we serve the Guru is how? By following his instructions without duplicity. Right? So Prabhupada, that's the main theme of this purport. Prabhupada says that how he carried out the instructions of spiritual master in toto. A proper selection of words. In toto. In toto means exactly as Brahmaji desired. Right? What was Brahma's desire? Create progeny. And how did Kardama do? So excellently that the Supreme Personality of God has become the son. Like imagine, like Guru gives a service, and the service is so, you do it so nicely that Krishna actually appears. How excellent is the service. So he is praised with praising Kardamani. You serve me so nicely in toto without cheating. Right? Why without cheating? And he actually makes a point that as conditioned souls, we have these 4 defects. Right? What are the 4 defects? Imperfect senses. Right? Imperfect senses are known as karana patava. Right? Then illusion. Because of imperfect senses, then we get illusion. We see land and we think it's water. Right? So illusion, pramada. And because we have senses are illusion, then we make mistakes, Brahma. And when we make mistakes, because we are making mistakes, we have a tendency to cheat. Right? So these 4 are the defects. Every conditioned soul is subjected to these defects. But then Prabhupada makes this very interesting point, and we'll conclude with this point. If one carries out the order of the spiritual master, he overcomes these 4 defects. Amazing. A conditioned soul is subjected to these 4 defects. But if one carries out the order of the Guru in toto, without any doubt, then that person overcomes these 4 defects. How is it?
Prabhu, I can just think of His Holiness Bhaktacharya Maharaj because he translated Prabhupada's all the books in Bengali. So a person made with 4 defects. So he's of course bound to make mistakes in the translation, but how his translations are perfect in Bengali.
Like even that word, Tadvag Visargotanataga Viplo, Yasmin Pratishloka Abhatyavatmi, Namani Anantasya Yashanti Kancha, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grantha. Even if there are some mistakes in spiritual topics, because they are done with the intention to glorify Krishna, they are perfect, right? So that point is that. But here, and then, extending to that point, so here, what was the first one? Imperfect senses. But we follow the instruction of the Guru. What do we define devotion service as? What happens? Our senses get purified. Right? So our defective senses actually gets purified because we engage in activities of bhakti. Sarvopadi vinimukam tatparate that our nirmal, it gets purified. So our imperfect senses gets purified by engaging in devotional service. Right? Like our eyes, we don't just see with our faulty eyes. How do we see everything? Shastra Chakshu. We see through the eyes of the Shastra, which is beyond these 4 defects. And hence our vision becomes free from those 4 defects because we are seeing through the eyes of Shastra. Then illusion, right? Illusion, how is illusion overcome? We said imperfect senses. Second one is illusion. How is illusion overcome? Yasyam Vaishruyamananam Krishna Param Purushe Bhakti Utpade Pumsha Shokam Moha Bhayapa. The moha, the illusion, is actually taken away by receiving spiritual wisdom. Right? So following the order of the spiritual master is actually receiving the spiritual wisdom. And the spiritual wisdom takes away the illusion in the core of our heart. Then mistakes, like because of our imperfect senses, we are illusion. Because of illusion, we make mistakes. But mistakes in Krishna in our heart, he gives us guidance. Do this, don't do this. Right? He gives us knowledge from within. Our mistakes are overcome. And then our cheating tendency, it gets converted to what? Instead of cheating, we want to always think of books on yoga and meditation that teach you how to be free from stress. We want to give books to everyone. We want to distribute Krishna to everyone. So whole opposite paradigm, right? The 4 defects, and now these 4 defects are overcome by following the instructions of the spiritual master. And instead of being cheating, instead of a tendency to cheat, we have the tendency to do good for everyone. We want to be the well-wishing friend of everyone. Right? So that's how these 4 defects can be overcome. Right? So if one carries out the order of the spiritual master by disciplic succession, one overcomes these 4 defects. Okay, so we'll conclude this one. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So after this chapter, the next chapter is a very, very wonderful chapter, Glories of Devotional Service. And that has the famous verse, Satam Prasanga Mama Virya Samhido, and very nice, I like it's one of my very favorite chapter, like all the aspects of bhakti are explained so nicely. So 25 will be the instructions of Kapila to Kardam to Devhuti. Okay, any final points, everyone? Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you repeat the last word, like how the imperfect senses will be purified, spiritual?
So imperfect senses, first point are defect imperfect senses. By engaging in bhakti, what happens? Our senses get purified, right? Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam is the verse for that. Second, illusion. How is illusion overcome? By the wisdom, by the instructions of the Guru. And what is the verse for that? Yasyam Vaishruyam Anana, 177, Bhagavatam. Right? Then third, mistakes. How are mistakes overcome? Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purukam, Bhagavad Gita 10.10. And then the last one, cheating tendency, actually that gets converted to a mood of, what is the shloka for that? Vaishnava is para dukkha dukhi, but as a titiksha karunika, right? That will come in the next chapter, actually, this verse. Titiksha karunika suridam sarvadehina. He becomes a surid to sarvadehina. Right? So instead of cheating, he becomes a best friend for all living entities. So that reference would be 325, 21. Right? So 4 verses for 4 mistakes. Okay, everyone got it? Mate, you got it? Arun?
What's the first verse, Prabhuji? First one, for imperfect senses.
Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam.
Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. Okay. Thank you.
I know the nectar version. Okay. Thank you so much. So we'll end here. Any final points? Okay. So now
Prabhu, do you when you're doing your Bhakti Vaibhav, did you were told these verses, like, or you do it, Prabhu? Like the connection of the verses and
are my verses, because the thing, like, if you do Bhakti Vaibhav through any of these courses, they go so fast.
so fast.
So fast. Imagine, like, they complete like a whole chapter of like 47 verses in like 1 hour. It's like, it's like just touch and go. But I have written notes and elaborated, selected verses and all those things. So it's
I
more.
want to know, how do you do this? Like, you read the purport and you know which verse it's like. How do you search some way to,
I mean, like, one is like, when you go through a purport, you can just say, okay, what are the themes? Divide the purport in different themes. And then when you find a theme, then you can just write few key points. Okay, this was the first theme of the purport, second theme of the purport. Then each theme, you can think of somewhere else in the Shastra, like either you have heard a class, like, okay, what is the relationship? And sometimes you go to Veda base and you just search, some key point, like 4 defects, and you'll find Prabhupada talking about that. Then, so... it just takes time. So, and then the more we hear, the more references. Like Prabhupada lecture, he always talks of so many references. So you hear that and you can connect the references. So,
But you read all purport, Prabhu? For every sloka, you read the purport?
yeah, every shloka you read the purport and then you write some notes. You divide the purport into like, 2, 3
Yeah.
parts. And then you write notes on each part. Okay, for theme 1, theme 2, theme 3. 3 themes in Prabhupada's purport. First theme, what is the key point? And some reference you can think about. 1 second. Okay, thank you all so much. So, Landia.
I'm asking Prabhu because what if after when we finished our Bhakti Vaibhav, if somebody asks that your teacher was like this, you also give class like this, and I am not doing it, so it will be defamation to yourself. So that's why it's very important for us to able to know your way of learning, Prabhu.
I mean, the more we hear, the more we can find those connections, and then, like, all glories to all of you that 3 hours every Sunday, you are actually committing to this. And we are hearing the same verses, like how many times we quote this Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. These were common verses again and again, and then you can always go back and connect to them. Right? So much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya, Kripa Sindhuveva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. Happy Ekadashi to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very, very grateful. Hare Krishna.